gentleman's out of order when you're not, or,
Right.
madam is out of order and you're not,
Right.
you're not going to have much of a counter, because you're going to take that as gospel. And this is what I'm trying to teach people, and what we need to get into, and we're probably going to take several shows to do it, is what they can do when a chairman is out of order, because a chairman is not, immune to being out of order.
Say, okay, let's just explore that for a minute. Could you envisage that we might have a couple of shows, or however many it takes, to have actually a on-the-air seminar on procedures?
We might be able to attempt that.
Okay, well, I'm willing to consider that. If you want to let that.
Well, Indy, it would take a little bit of work, and it's going to take more than just me. We would need a few people involved to be able to pull it off. It basically, you're looking at doing a mock convention is basically what you're saying, right?
Well, I don't know exactly, but what I'm just thinking that you had mentioned. See, I like to listen to books. I've heard many, many more books in the last few years than I've read, because I just find it easier to do when I'm exercising, when I'm doing the dishes, when I'm driving. It would be great. I have so far been searching, not with my full attention on it, but I've been talking and searching at the same time here. So far, I haven't come up with an MP3 version of parliamentary procedure or Robert's Rules of Order. And it seems to me if we could get something in digital audio for people, and maybe we have to create it ourselves, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, if that's something that we need to start working on, I can definitely entertain that. I'm severely, lack of time.
Right.
Because not only just doing as many, these shows as I can, I'm also addressing several meetup groups on a daily basis, just trying to prepare people. I'm just one guy out there, Indy.
I know. What I was thinking is, though, what we might want to, and we don't have to make this decision right now, but let's just mull this around in our heads after the show in a few days, whether or not we might attempt to structure several appearances by you on this show such that the purpose would be to create, an essential guide to parliamentary procedure or convention, management on audio. I mean, that might take not taking callers, and so on like that. But I would be willing to do that if you think that's something that could be structured and would be practical.
Well, I think with we might be able to attempt it. My only concern is the timeline that we're working with. A lot of these states are going to be having conventions here real soon.
Right.
I don't know that we'd be able to cover everything, Indy.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let me
only concern.
All right, let me just do this. Listeners, please research. Try to find out if there isn't something already extant about Robert's Rules of Orders or parliamentary procedure that's in MP3 or in some kind of CD audio format. And so bring it to our attention so that we don't have to create that ourselves. Back to Brandon.
Well, I was going to just pipe in and say that we can also use, I recorded about 4 hours of our 9-hour convention, so I ran out of memory space on my digital voice recorder, but I did get good 3 hours of the actual committee meetings and the convention process, so I'm trying to get all that taken care of and put on as far as examples of the, Robert Rules of Order in action. So I'm working on that right now as well. Just want to let you two know that.
Well, yeah, Brandon, if you can break some of that stuff down, maybe it might not be a bad idea, for every show that we do, Indy, to maybe take, 2 or 3 parts of it and just work on that segment.
All right.
But I agree that you have to. I was getting looks at some of that I had the recording device with me, but I wasn't really ever questioned about it. And I know that other folks use microphones and other different forms of recording devices as well. So I don't know. I didn't know if it was a bad thing or not, but I made sure to do it until my memory filled up. So
no, Brandon, there should be nothing. I've never seen in any bylaws that you are not allowed to record your actual convention or your meeting. I mean, usually these things are encouraged for accuracy. You know, so if you're getting bad looks, that's because somebody's afraid of something that they might say. So don't be afraid of that. You know, don't fall for that tactic.
Okay, and also I had a question about signs as far as candidates go. We were told, and it was shown in the little booklet that we got, that no candidate could have a sign at the inside of the convention unless they were in a runoff. And so I saw a bunch of because Lubbock GOP chair is in a runoff right now. But in addition to those signs, they also had McCain signs on the inside of the convention. That kind of threw me off guard. I didn't know if that was allowed because he's not the nominee yet.
Well, it's not supposed to be that way. Again, these are things that it depends on what are in your bylaws or your party rule. If there's nothing in there, okay, that states that you cannot have campaign signs in your meeting or your convention, in your bylaws, then they should be allowed unless they're voted out. But again, these are things that can be done at your conventions, people. You know, you can change those. If you don't want the McCain signs up or anybody else's sign up, and they're even in your bylaws, if you've got the majority of your vote, okay, what you need to do is amend your bylaws. Get it out of there, and then go take the signs down physically. You don't have to wait for somebody to do it for you. Once your amendment passes or your motion passes, it becomes immediate. You do not have to wait. You can just go do it.
Wow. This is excellent. I love it. I love it. To me, this show is inspirational.
You know, if I could, Indy, I'd like to just talk about a couple things that I think are important where some people have gotten into trouble that I've heard so far. If you
we got 2 minutes to the break, and go ahead.
Okay. The first thing that I want to bring up, and we'll wait till the break to come back to it, is if you're ever in question about the majority of the vote when somebody's voting, because, you know, the word nay sends a lot more power than the word I. And that's because, you know, my expertise is in hearing. And that word is a low-frequency word, so it's going to carry further. But you can at any time, okay, and you can interrupt if somebody has the floor, that you can always call for division. What's call for division means you want a standing count. And as your chairman, okay, puts a motion to the floor, you should immediately stand up and say, Mr. Chairman, I move for a rising vote. And that is not debatable, and it must be done. So that means that all the ayes will have to stand first, then be counted, and then all the nays will have to rise and then be counted. So this way you always get an accurate vote count, and this must be documented.
Not only that, but you also get clarity on everything that's being passed, right? People have to think about it before they stand up.
Well, see, I saw a video where somebody had called for division, and the chairman put it to a vote. That's not debatable. It's not voted upon. It must be enacted. Okay, and this is where those people fell short because the nays won and they didn't get their call for division. But the chairman was out of order.
Okay. When we come back, let's talk more about what to do when the chairman is out of order, and then let's get back to the other thing that you were answering a question or began going to, I forget, something you tabled temporarily until after the break. The break is pretty much upon us, so let me just go ahead and segue there. Folks, you are tuned in once again, and thank you to RPRR, the epicenter of the Ron Paul Revolution. If you're a first-time listener, we welcome you. Tell your friends, tell your cousins, tell your neighbors that this is the audio location for Taking Back America. We'll be back after a break.
Welcome to the Ron Paul Revolution. Ron Paul Revolution Radio.
Here comes the revolution. We're now in the approach phase. Everything